Hi creative friends, this is Rhea and thank you so much for being here. So I received a request to do a video of a painting from start to finish, and I don't think I've done that before. So that's what this video is going to be about, and it's probably going to be in parts. So first of all, I'm working on Bristol paper. I'll leave all the information of everything that I use in here in the description below. And I'm going to start off with a Stabilo pencil. It's my blue one. And normally I use a paintbrush and paints and I make circles, but today I'm going to use my Stabilo pencil. I'm still going to make circles because I just love the energy that circles bring to the page and to the whole piece of art. So the first layers for me are always about being in beginner's mind. So I'm just playing, I'm being curious, I'm having fun. I'm normally listening to some music or a podcast or a YouTube video, and I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm simply letting go. And to me, that is the best way that I can infuse my work with a sense of playfulness, joy, passion, all of those things. It starts off with the very first layers because each layer is going to affect my subsequent layers. So I want my first layers to be very loosey-goosey. And as you can see, nothing spectacular is going on, and I want it that way. So we're just simply playing. And I love circles. I usually always use an odd number because just it creates interest. If it's an even number, then it's too boring, like static, and an odd number just kind of sets it off kilter a little bit, which is very unexpected and interesting. So I've set some paints off here. I have an orange, a red, a turquoise blue, and a yellow. And what I want to do is add a stencil to my page. And I use a makeup brush because I just found that this works the best for me. So one of the things I learned about using stencils is not to put too much paint on the brush or sponge or whatever. Like normally I put way too much paint on here. So if you put too much paint, it's just gonna smudge, which isn't a big deal, but I want a clean line. I don't want like a lot of smudging. So I'm really going to try to be cognizant of not putting a whole bunch of paint on my sponge. And also too, you don't want your paint to be really watery because that's another surefire way that it's going to, you know, turn into a mess. So I'm putting it right over top of my Stabilo because I'm not really concerned about, you know, my color or, you know, just all that like mixing and stuff like that. I don't really care about that. I actually welcome it. So I think I'm going to put another one right here. And what I do is the motion of my hand is up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's whether you're using a sponge or a brush. And I find that that just gives me like the best kind of patterns instead of like going like, you know, sideways, like a sideways motion or like rubbing it or something like that. It's just a very up and down, up and down, up and down. And some of it did smudge there, but that's okay. And I think I'm going to put a piece of the stencil like right in the middle here. Now this is a Faber-Castell set that I picked up a few years ago, and at first I thought it was a plastic set, and when I received it, it's actually cardboard, but it has held up really well and I use it quite a lot. I bought it for the patterns because I really loved the designs. It comes like in a pack of I think 12, and I'll leave that information below, but it's really worth it because it's a really good quality stencil. So I'm really pleased with that. So now what I think I want to do is bring in some yellow. And I'm really using this yellow like a watercolor, even though it's acrylic. I've added a lot of water to it, so I just want it to be very translucent. And I find that some colors really lend itself to being translucent, because then when I keep parts of it till the end layers, it's really gonna show the background of the white. The white will influence the transparency of the yellow, and so it really makes it pop. And I'm going over my Stabilo pencil here, which is totally fine. And I have some of my turquoise here, and I'm just going to make some dots. So the thing is, if you know what your visual language is, if you are familiar with it, if you've been working on it, and if you remain true to yourself, then all the marks and lines and colors and shapes that you use are going to be part of your visual language. Like right from the get-go, like I know that I love circles. I know that I love, you know, reds and oranges. Like I know the colors that I love. I tend to gravitate towards the same colors a lot of the time. And so once you build up your visual language, it really helps you when you start painting, because it's just a natural progression to gravitate towards the things that you love. And it's always going to be a reflection of you, and you're going to remain true to yourself because you know what your visual language is. So I'm using a Black Stabilo and I'm making some marks here. Now I'm going to let this dry naturally. I do have a heating tool, but I don't use it often because it does tend to flatten out your colors, and I don't want to flatten out my colors. I want my colors to be really rich and vibrant, and so the best way I know how to do that is just to let things dry naturally. Now, as you can see, there's nothing spectacular going on here. It looks like a big mess, and some of it is actually kind of, you know, ugly. And to me, ugly is really interesting, so I'm fine with that. I would much rather have ugly than boring and static, so I'm totally fine with that. And I think what I'm going to do, like, that paint has dried, so I'm going to add a really light wash of this yellow over top of my stencil. And you want to make sure that the paint has dried, otherwise it's gonna smudge, which, you know, is okay if that's what you want. But I'm just gonna add that to some of the stencil there. And now I'm gonna get my blue. This is my Inktense pencil, and I'm gonna dip it in water, and this is permanent. So I'm just going to make some marks here. And I also have a red one. I love these Inktense pencils. The only problem I have with it is that I need to get a sharpener that's big enough for it. And I do have a sharpener with a large hole, but for some reason it's not working in this. So I've got to find maybe a special kind of a sharpener for this pencil, because I really love using them. So I need to figure out the best way to keep them on point. And I'm just going to make some circles here with my Inktense. just dragging it through the water. So I feel like this page still needs a little bit of another color here, and I'm not sure what color. I have a pink, but I'm not sure if that's the pink I want to use. Okay, so this is my, let me see, this is my Luminous Opera pink, and this is my Compost Rose pink. So I think I'm going to use my Luminous Opera, which is a really delicious pink. And I'm just going to kind of put little pops of it here and there. Not too much, but just a little bit. Let's see what that does. Sometimes one color can really change the whole entire page. It's really quite surprising. So I'm gonna just take some gold, and you can't even see it, but I'm just gonna add some of it to the page. So this is a big, fat, juicy mess, and that is a good thing. So I'm gonna let it completely dry, and now I'm using some fluorescent pink Liquitex ink right here, and I'm just gonna I'm just actually gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna let it dry just without sorry, I got some paint on my hand and I just smushed it onto the page here. I'm just gonna let that dry. I'm not even gonna use a brush to spread it around, and I think I'm gonna use my transparent burnt sienna here. And just bring some dark tones here onto the page. And as you can see, it's just really juicy. And see, if I had to bring in a heating tool, it would really, it would lose a lot of this organic juiciness, I guess, with all the water and just, you know, the way it's sitting on the page. So I'm just gonna leave it right like this and let it dry naturally and come back to it. So this is part one of my painting from, you know, from scratch all the way to the end. And thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.